Tom and his friend decided to play hide and seek in the woods. After counting to 100, Tom turned around and saw his friend had stolen the car and driven off. While thinking of a way to chase his treacherous friend, Tom suddenly found an old car buried under a layer of rotten leaves with branches piercing through its shattered windows. He hoped the car was still functional to help him catch up with his friend. But looking at the overall condition, the car appeared pitiful and miserable. Who knows what terrible things had happened to it before? With no other options, Tom borrowed a crane from an old man nearby, lifted the wreck onto a flatbed tow truck to check the car's condition thoroughly. This is a Toyota Camry in an appallingly dilapidated state. The body is severely rusted, with large patches of paint peeling off, revealing gaping holes as if it had been battling the ravages of time and nature for decades. Sorry for Tom, but the car looks more like a pile of scrap metal than a means of transportation. The interior is even more tragic. Torn seats, rotten leather covers peeling off, exposing the discolored and moldy foam inside. Plastic parts are broken and covered in dirt and cobwebs. The steering wheel and dashboard have lost their original color, becoming faded and brittle. The buttons and switches are worn down, many of them no longer functioning. The floor area is full of trash, dry rotted leaves, and accumulated dirt. The electrical system and wiring are exposed like open wounds, and no one knows if they can still function. This car has not only been abandoned, but seems to have been completely forgotten, becoming a rotting pile of scrap metal in the wild, where time and harsh conditions have turned it into a relic of the past. Tom couldn't even find the alternator and radiator. These were probably the most valuable parts of the wreck that someone had already taken. He decided to put a battery in and check the engine and electrical components. Hopefully, the engine could still be salvaged, but what he found under the hood only deepened his disappointment. The engine, after years of exposure to the elements, had become dry, brittle, and rusty, with clear signs of corrosion and oxidation. Hoses and cables were broken or worn out, with many cracks. Valve covers and other engine components were dirty and decayed. Some plastic and rubber parts had aged and deformed, losing their original elasticity. Tom checked the dipstick, but there was no fuel, only dirt and rust. While the old man was out for a walk, Tom siphoned 3 liters of oil from his car to pour into the Camry. As he poured, he thought, after catching that jerk of a friend, I'll buy you 10 new cans of gas. When the old Toyota got power, the alarm blared. Being in a hurry and still being kicked in the butt by the sound of the siren, Tom immediately cut the power supply wire to the horn to stop the noise. At this point, Tom tries connecting the wires to the battery to see if the engine will work after being powered. Luckily for Tom, it does, but not significantly. Another issue with this Toyota is that its engine is seized. Undeterred, Tom jacks up the car, removes the wheels to access the crankshaft of the engine. Due to the car surviving in harsh conditions for so long, everything down here is dry, brittle, and rusty. Tom has to start it manually, using a wrench to turn the crankshaft. The tense atmosphere seems to break when Tom finally manages to turn it and free the stuck engine. With each careful and meticulous operation, Tom feels himself getting closer to the goal of reviving the car. When he begins to connect the battery, the suspense builds inside him. All his effort and hard work seem to culminate in this moment. When the engine starts to move, Tom can't hide his joy, a sense of triumphant victory spreading through him. The engine's gentle rumble marks success after all his hard work. The engine has been freed from its seizure, ready to run again. This success not only shows that the old car still has a chance to be revived, but also brings Tom closer to catching up with his friend. However, this journey is still far from over as the engine only starts but doesn't run, and the spark plug doesn't ignite. This means there is a problem with the ignition system, or the wires are broken. With 3 generations of car repair experience, Tom immediately knows he needs to check the fuse. First, he identifies the 15A fuse labeled EFI in the fuse box. Next, he carefully removes the old EFI fuse from the slot, making sure not to damage the surrounding components. After completely removing the old fuse, he checks its condition and replaces it with a new one. Now the spark plug starts firing. To help this Camry revive faster, Tom begins pumping fuel into the tank. However, the power from the car battery is not strong enough, causing the car to still struggle and not start. Undeterred, Tom connects additional power from the old man's house to the car and asks the old man's son to use a tool to tap the camshaft. The fuel injector, being rusty from years of neglect, needs some physical interaction to wake it up. Tom and the old man's son take turns trying to awaken the engine's latent power. Tom patiently adjusts the throttle while the old man's son taps the camshaft with skilled hammer strokes, hoping to dislodge the rust. Each tap sounds like a drum beat, creating a mechanical symphony in the stillness of the forest. After a long while, their tireless efforts begin to pay off. First, there's a small hiss, then a light sound, and finally louder noises as the engine starts to smoke. Leaves and dust puff out of the exhaust pipe. The engine starts to roar, blending with the laughter and joy of Tom and the old man's son. After nearly 2 decades of neglect, this iron beast awakens and makes a spectacular revival. At this point, to make the engine roar more powerfully, Tom uses his hand to turn the throttle, helping more fuel flow into the engine. Joy surges within Tom as he sees the engine continue to respond, the powerful and lively engine sound resonating. With a confident smile, Tom steps into the driver's seat and shifts the gear lever. The front wheels begin to turn, emitting a squeak sound due to long-term rust. This sound not only signifies the car's return to action, but also symbolizes the success and relentless effort. Basically, the steps to revive this iron beast are complete. To help the rusty Toyota run better, Tom adds water to the radiator to cool the engine. The car, buried under harsh weather for so long, roars with powerful engine sounds as it receives the cool water. Finally, the car can run its engine without Tom needing to provide extra battery power. It has truly come back to life. Tom looks at the car with pride and happiness, feeling as if he has awakened a legend. The vibrancy and roar of the engine are not just the results of physical efforts, but also a testament to perseverance and never giving up. Tom has not only revived a car, but also reignited hope and belief in overcoming any challenge. Now Tom can confidently sit in the driver's seat. He tries to operate the car's control panel to test its features. After a tiring morning, a breeze from the car's air conditioning would be nice. Of course, that can't happen. The electrical system in the cabin doesn't work. This car has been abandoned for nearly 2 decades, turned into a 5-star hotel for spiders. The fact that it can run is a miracle. Additionally, rust surrounds the edges of the control panel, and its levers are stuck, no longer smooth like before. Now the Iron Beast encounters another issue. Its front wheels are still stuck. Tom quickly removes the wheels. The wheel hub is so severely stuck that Tom has to use a hammer to physically impact it, urging the car to shed its old age and start a new journey. All right, it's time to hit the road and find that troublesome friend. Tom boosts the engine's power and quickly jumps into the driver's seat. Not only is he about to escape this forest and catch up with his friend, but Tom also helps the Iron Beast Toyota regain its inherent strength. It once was a mighty warrior on all roads. From the rubble buried under leaves, it once again rises powerfully, proving its indomitable fighting spirit.